Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back once again. We have another trailer breakdown because we got two pretty massive trailers today. Of course, the first one being Stranger Things Season 5. I just did a breakdown of that, so please go check that out. Today, though, with this one, we're breaking down the trailer for Scream 7, something that is very much been in the works, and people have been dying for this particular movie because of one of the stars of it. It's the stars of the original movie, mind you, and being that this is coming out next year, this is 30 years in the making. This is 30 years of waiting, considering what happened in the very first film, which is, to me anyways, still one of the best slasher films of my generation. I love the original movie, and Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, Nev Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, all the original cast, and just what they did with that, what that became, and everything. And they're finally doing it. They're finally bringing back Stu Macher,
Surprise, Sydney.
who of course played by Matthew Lillard, was a big selling point of this particular sequel and everything. The last one, I don't really even know if it made much of a dent in the legacy of the movie because Nev Campbell wasn't in it. She didn't want to be a part of it because they didn't want to meet her halfway with her negotiating and everything. Fucking Mike. And they did not want to pay her fairly, considering she's the face of that franchise. And so they finally did it. They brought her back. They brought Matthew Lillard back. They're bringing back a handful of other cameos. Of course, these are dead characters. But Stu Macher, there was always that what if. Did he actually die? Because, of course, he had a TV dropped on his face after being stabbed a handful of times. And TVs back in '96 when the original one came out, of course, those TVs weighed like 100 plus pounds on some occasions. Being someone that grew up in that generation with those TVs, I can tell you that it took some effort to move some of those TVs. And to see one actually come down on someone's face, you could believe it at the time. But there's always been that speculation and theory that, this kind of goes back to Walking Dead a little bit, where they're not gone until they're gone. And that's always been everyone's kind of thinking around it, and just all the hoping and praying finally paid off because Matthew Lillard's going to be a part of this again. But anyways, I want to break down the trailer that we got today and a handful of things that's going on in this trailer and everything. So let's do this. Let's jump into the trailer and break it down. So anyways, we open up with the trailer here. We are at the Macher house from the original film. This house, of course, is very iconic for this franchise, and so much so that at one point you could actually rent this house as a B&B, and they had a whole setup and everything. And I've seen videos from other YouTubers and everything going into this house, and a couple of the things are very much unchanged from that time. So it was very exciting to see that they brought this back and everything, and it would be amazing to go stay in this house. But I think at this point the B&B is not an option, or it's that it has new owners, because I'm sure it switched owners a handful of times because people get sick of people venturing up there, because this is one of those houses, I believe, that's kind of off the beaten path where you actually have to make the effort to go to this house. But we open up on the Stu Macher house, which is being used as a B&B for this particular beginning of the movie, which I believe these are going to be our opening kills. But something that's interesting, honestly, because within the B&B, they've decked it out to look like the stab movies from within Scream, and they've outlined spots on the floor where killers have died, which of course in this one we can see that this is where Billy was killed. And we can see that the guest, I can't remember his name, he's been in a few things, so who knows if he could turn out to be one of the killers, but he's laying in the ground in Billy's death outline taking a selfie. And also if you look in the background, you have Gail Weathers' book, The Woodsboro Murders, framed and on display with the rest of the setup of the house. Then you got this next frame where he's still in the body outline, and so much so where they've actually put blood there at the head where Billy was ultimately shot and killed at the end of the first movie. Then they walk into this room, and it's got this like animatronic motion detection ghost face going on. And it's all a big joke to them until I assume she's in here by herself, and then we see another ghost face sneaking up behind her. A whole sequence breaks out where he's chasing her, so I don't know if it's actually her boyfriend or whatever, because we don't see him again within that part of the trailer. So I don't know if he was killed in another room or just what happened there. But chases her around the room, and then she's dangling from the light from the ceiling, and it breaks, of course, while she's trying to make her way back over the stair railing and falls directly onto the knife, which I thought was a pretty kind of funny scene, honestly. Then we get a shot here of a cell phone with Woodsboro, California, unknown. And then you have it. We have our first shot of Sidney Prescott and another guy. We don't know if this is kind of similar to, I want to say, the second movie when she's in college. You know, everything's still fresh, everything just happened. And, caller ID is kind of a new thing at that time. And then people are teasing her. People are calling her, doing the Ghostface voice changer thing until she calls them out, be like, "This is so and so from this number." And they're like, "Well, shit." So I just wonder if it's kind of a recreation of something like that, or this is a legitimate Ghostface, because who knows how many we're going to have in this go around, if Stu's actually going to be an active Ghostface or be kind of a mentor type, or just what's going on with his character and everything. But she's talking to him, basically saying how full of shit he is and everything. Then we got Sydney's daughter. I can't remember her name. She's familiar, though. I can't remember the actress's name. So I'll have to look back into that. Then we got her walking out of their house. And meanwhile, Sydney's on this phone call. I imagine clearly this is probably different scenes, but she's talking to this person on this phone, telling him how full of shit he is and everything. Then, she says, "Why are you hiding?" And then we have a shot of him dropping from an attic space entrance, which was kind of an awesome entry and everything into the scene. Then I got this another shot of Ghostface, which just was kind of cool. Then we get a moment where Sydney hits this Ghostface, and her and her daughter run into what looks like a panic room. Closes it, and then maybe this is kind of a secret way out of the panic room, going in between the walls. But of course, he hears them and he starts jabbing the knife through the walls. And I don't know if they get separated in that moment, but that's just kind of what it feels like. Then we have Gail Weathers show back up, Courtney Cox. And then we have, I think they were twins from the fourth or fifth. They were the lone survivors, I think, with somebody else. But we got them back for this go around. There was another shot of Ghostface. Then we got one of those twins fighting Ghostface. So that kind of leads me to believe maybe we'll have multiple Ghostfaces, because that's kind of the trend for these movies. There's always been at least, I think, two. But Sydney's watching this guy from her security cameras, very much playing into this is the new way of things and everything. And her daughter's in the house and she's guiding her through it, and she tells her to shoot through the wall and hits him. Of course, he's not dead because they didn't shoot him in the head, and she tells her daughter as much. And then we got this scene at the end of the trailer, which I thought was pretty awesome, where this makes me think this could be Stu in this sense, where he's burning down his childhood home, more or less. And because we got him in the house, and one big thing from the trailer where he says, "I'm going to burn it all down," which was kind of a badass line. Then we got him walking out of the house while it's on fire. So this really leads me to believe this is probably Stu. That would make the most sense. It would be kind of poetic in a sense, but still not sure, because at this point, Stu is like 50. I mean, it's been 30 years. He's 48, 50, somewhere around there. And he probably couldn't take quite the abuse that he could back then, and who knows what kind of shape he's in, considering he was stabbed multiple times and then had the TV dropped on his face. So I'm just wondering how much he'll play a part in the actual, suiting up and going after Sydney. But the trailer closes out with this scene and everything. I'm legitimately excited about this one. I didn't even watch the last one for obvious reasons, because it had nothing to do with Sydney's character, or just I don't even know if they mentioned her or just what happened there. But I stayed away from that one. It just didn't pique my interest at all. This one, of course, like a lot of people, very, very excited for this. Very excited to see the return of Matthew Lillard to play the part of Stu Macher, one of the original Ghost Faces. We had, of course, Skeet Ulrich in, what was it, the fifth one, where he's back as a ghost and just kind of a maybe hallucination a little bit.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
And that was good and all, but to see this finally come to fruition, where we're going to see Stu alive, and just I don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in, or if he's going to be in kind of a mental institution, or just what's going on there, just what they plan to do with his character. But Matthew Lillard is just a fucking gem, and so I'm excited to see him come back and just what he does with it, because he is a very talented actor, and this being one of the roles that really, started his career, really got it going and everything. It's just kind of exciting to see that he's willing to come back and do this. I mean, you have Nev Campbell who's been doing it for 30 fucking years, but with the exception of the last one. So very excited to see just what this will turn out to be. Will it be the last one, considering Stu's coming back, or just how much they're going to continue to kind of capitalize off of this? But anyways, I hope you enjoyed my breakdown, my thoughts, and all that. You know the drill. So do what you gotta do, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.